Moving and moving. Moving and moving, and we are live. We're going. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, all that jam. So I have a special guest today, a casting director. I love having casting directors on. And not only is Brette Goldstein a casting director, she's also a coach, which is great. I've worked with so many coaches my whole entire life for acting, growing up as a cross country runner. I've always had coaches. It's so important. I studied with this one coach who is Will Smith's coach and Jennifer Lopez's coach, and the A-list celebrities. Like, no matter what, like, you always need a coach. Like, you're never in a situation where it's like, okay, I got it. Like, I don't need a coach. It's always great practice to always have a coach. So Brette Goldstein's a coach. We're going to get into it today. Thank you, Brette, for joining me. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Katie. I mean, it's a Friday afternoon in Palm Springs, Like
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. And you are a lovely treat after a long but awesome week. So thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. Definitely an amazing week so far. Life's so good when we're living our best lives as creatives. I mean, obviously there's up, down, and in between, but we always get to go to the play and to the gratitude and the appreciation. So I honor you and I'm grateful for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like in the show notes, but just real quick for everyone who's seeing the live here. Brette has cast over 50 films, over 300 commercials. She's, been involved with plays, and she just cast the new TV series that's on right now, The Jinx. So let's just dive in. When did you start casting?
1996, I think, or 7. I think it was 1997, and I started in theater in DC. Ugh, lucky me. I did a bunch of small theater, and then I was the production manager at Washington Shakespeare Company, but this evolved into 9 seasons as the resident casting director of the Folger. So I did a lot of Shakespeare when I was there, a lot of new play development. I was so lucky to have that experience. And in the 90s, we had really cool stuff happening, like Nikki Silver workshopping new plays and developing them at Woolly Mammoth. I mean, it was an incredible time to be in theater in DC.
Wow, that's amazing. I haven't been to DC, but I'm a poet. So when I was a kid, I got this Shakespeare. It's like black with gold. I call it looks like a Bible, but it was all of Shakespeare's plays, and to me it was like a Bible. It was just like, I know. So I we could just go on about poetry all day, but that's a good heart-centered way to get involved in the entertainment industry. Did you know you were gonna be in entertainment forever when you started as a casting director, or like when you got started initially?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew. I mean, I think I discovered, first of all, in college, it's like we really kind of didn't have much of an internet situation, right? I'm 50 now. So I did know this, especially if you think about Hollywood or even New York at that time. And I was like really overweight. I had like really big hair. There was like a part of me that was like, look, you feel like this this middle-aged New York Jewish lady. You're probably not going to work until you're like in your 40s. Maybe acting isn't the thing. And it stressed me out, like memorization and things like that. But I
Mm,
loved being with actors. Like, you're my people. You're my people. So I
yeah.
knew, and like, and even now when I do a lot of corporate coaching, I love every minute of it. But there's a difference, right? There's a difference in energy, and I love doing that, but I keep coming back to my people too.
Yeah, and I just feel like now with evolution, social media technology, you're able to have that one-on-one direct relationship with the people who are your people, the actors and the talent. So that's really cool. So because before there was this stigma, I don't know if there's a stigma now, but there was a stigma. Another casting director mentioned it on the podcast before, Amanda Lanker Doyle, how she likes that one-on-one connection with the talent as well, but there was this stigma in Hollywood where like the agents didn't want like the talent or the casting directors connecting with the agents because they thought they were going to bypass the agents. So have you always been really close with the actors, and how was that development for you then, and how is it now with being able to, connect with actors? Like, do they come to you? Do they find you now through social media? How is it for you?
Well, do you want me to address that thing about the going like, you're talking about I don't wanna address the point you made earlier about, like, are you saying that agents are concerned that, like, that we're gonna go around them somehow? Because that happens. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know about it, but I mean, that's your side. I had no clue until, it was brought up. So, do you know what I'm talking about? Like that barrier? Because I know there's barriers in Hollywood, it's a protocol, these invisible rules. But have you experienced that, with, because you said the actors are your people, but did you ever feel like you couldn't connect with actors how you are now, or was it never like that for you?
There have definitely been times when I will talk to an actor directly and be like, "Look," I mean, especially if I feel like I'm just very careful, and
Yeah.
I do not want I mean, oh my god, once, like, I I mean, I have gone rogue a lot, and once I got in big trouble with a very famous actor's manager because I somehow like, I have a journalist friend who has that LexisNexis thing where you can basically, like I mean, you could straight up get anyone's everything. And I got this actor's home address in, like, the middle of nowhere in Massachusetts, and I FedExed him the script, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Look, your team is gonna block this because it's a low budget thing, but I think you'd be fabulous." Boy, did I get yelled at.
Oh.
I also didn't give a shit because I don't care, like, not with I don't have a relationship really with this manager, I didn't care about the yelling, but he was like, "I know what you did," and I was like, "Okay, what are you gonna do?" So I've, like, stalked stage doors, like, in my younger days, I did a bunch of weird shit. I also know from being, like, friends with some actors who are on the famous side, I would never say to them, "Here's a script. I want you to do this. I'll go to" I wouldn't fuck around. I would go to the agent, and I would maybe say to the actor, like, "Just so you know, an offer is coming. We don't have to talk about this. Let's, eat some cheese and shut the fuck up and have fun and drink wine." Like, I'm careful about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it depends on the situation, or like if it's in that kind of tier, you follow, protocol, but if it's like a free for all, I mean, that's makes you you, right? You have the cahoots to go after it. Like you're a trailblazer leading woman, and you have a vision, and you're going for it, and you feel like you're the captain of the ship of your life. And yeah, I mean, a while ago someone said to me, it just came up when you were sharing, but um, like, ask for forgiveness, not permission. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I think that I used to do that, like, really go rogue and be like, "I'm gonna get this script to so and so." Like, I did that way more when I was younger, but now I'm at a place where it's like, I'm only gonna do something that's kinda crazy if I believe so strongly that this is perfect, and that just hasn't come around in a really long time. So, I'm very now I do way less casting than I used to, and I think part of it is just the, like, one of the things that's really hard to do, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times, is the whole thing of there's no financing in place, so we need name attachments, okay? Except all those agents are going, show me the money, and then we can talk." And it's like this round and round and round, and I'm like, I'm just tired of it. What I love doing is connecting with actors, and that's why I've pivoted more into coaching. That's what I'm better at anyway.
You like telling people what to do. No, I'm
N
kidding. I do. I love directing, so I'm like, "Get over there." I love telling people what to do, you know? Like the rubber band, you're stretching them out, right? You're showing them different multiple things, because life is, you could go make different choices. So, yeah, interesting. So I want to circle back around. Um, your motto, your slogan is, your superpower is showing other people theirs.
It's really what I love doing is and I call it, like, special sauce. I love okay, so to me, this is what special sauce is. It's kind of like an It Factor thing, but it's a combination of all of like the deeply rooted in like our bodies, like the on an archetypal level. Oh, we get this, we get it. So it's not that foreign to us, but then it's sprinkled with all of these unique traits and strengths and talents and energetic qualities and ways of being and doing in the world that are uniquely you. So it's and kind of like that's like a film, right? That does well in the market. It's like or a TV series. We get it, and also it's something new. And I think that people are the same way. So what I love doing most in the coaching work and even just in life is telling something what it is about them that shines and then bringing that through in the work as opposed to them going, this is the character over here and there is one right way to do it and I have to be it. And I think that really factors in when it's a biopic. But if it's not, I want to see the character through your eyes.
Oh, I love that. That's great. So that it's a
Thanks.
discovery, it's a journey and a discovery.
To yourself.
Yeah.
It's bringing you back to you. And what I've discovered, Katie, over time is people are like, "But I'm boring and I'm not enough." And I kind of just like, "What? No." That's why
Oh,
or also, and I get it because like I'm 50, the idea of I got into this business as an actor to not do what like to not be me, to be somebody else. So what are you doing to me? Because I want to act, I want to be a character. Sometimes, but other times I want to see again, I want to see you are in the driver's seat and the character is the passenger. That works for most things now because the acting style is so naturalistic and so understated in so many
yeah.
things. So people have to believe that they're enough.
Yeah, I have a lot of actors, entrepreneurs, and even voiceover actors. And I feel like what you're saying applies to voiceover too, because a lot of times in video games, I love animation. That's my favorite because I just have a cartoon character voice and I love putting on voices and you can go high and low like a bipolar person real quick. So, it's great. But in certain things like video games, they just really want to hear the authentic you without putting something on it. And then it could just, for me, it's like, oh, it can just feel so boring because you feel like you're not doing anything.
Right.
But to someone else, you're brand new. Yeah. So,
Right.
yeah. Yeah. So we're going all over the place here. So you are the casting director on the new TV series, docu-series on the Jinx. So let's talk about how is that process for you? Did they find you? Did you pitch yourself for the job? Like how is that from when you wake up or when you have this gut thing that happens? Like what's number one that happens?
Right. So the Jinx isn't new. This is just season 2. Did you
Right.
watch season 1?
I haven't yet, but it's new to me because I just saw a bunch of ads on the YouTube TV.
Ah, okay. The Jinx is pretty fabulous also because for better or worse, and I love this. It came out in 2015 and it really started the true crime. It's that genre existed, but it made it what it is today. It was the Jinx. And the Jinx also was a fabulous I didn't cast season 1. It was a fabulous experience because for me, it brought me back to like that must see TV, like everyone talking about a thing. I think Game of Thrones was like that, Succession was like that, but so was The Jinx. And then for those of you that have seen it, and I'm not going to blow it, the final episode of season 1 is mind blowing. And also this docu series, it changed his fate. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but oh my God. And then when they came, all right, so I remember, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. So I got this email and Katie, I don't even remember what it said, but it was from the producers and they were like, so and so recommended you to cast season 2. And I just remember being like, I don't really remember who this person is. And I felt so bad, but I was like, okay, cool. I love season 1. I flipped out because I was so excited. But then I I think, or was it this? Yeah, at that point though, I was also like, I get it, but also, what are we doing here? Because we know the ending of this. And they were like, oh, honey, just you wait. So it was fascinating because I cast a show, but didn't know what they were going to do with it. They wouldn't tell me anything. Smart. I would have. I don't think it's because I have a big mouth, which I kind of do, but we had no idea what it was going to be about. They were like, "You just need. These are real people you're casting. You just need to do it, but we're not telling you anything."
And it's so wild because through the pandemic and the casting directors really speaking up during the strike and us really coming together as a union, the story you're telling right now, I feel like you're an actor. It's like, okay, you're booked, they found you, you're showing up to set, we're not telling you anything, just show up and do your job. And it's like you don't get to know, like, the lines you read that you booked, they're just mock. They're not real storylines here. Sign an NDA, don't talk about anything. It's like you're giving a story just like as an actor. Like yeah, wow. Wow, thank you for sharing that. How cool. Congratulations. And I love the part where you said they found you through a referral. And it's like networking is so important, and sowing seeds. And I would love to hear from you your perspective on sowing seeds and networking, because you've been around over 25 years in the industry. So, like, how is it like sowing seeds? Do you still know people from 25 years ago, 20 years from now, 15 years ago? Do you kind of just like sow a seed and they're in your garden? You do your own thing and then you go to them, or they go to you and you just pick up where you're left off. Like, how does that work for someone who is short-sighted or who doesn't understand short-term, medium-term, long-term goals? Like, gives them some strategy for a career.
You're talking about how to build relationships over time in the industry and the importance of that. Jesus Christ. Okay, look. If I were to do it all over again, especially because I love making new friends and I love connecting with people and hearing their stories, I'll be honest. I think I was so producers. Once my sister said to me, "Why are you biting the hand that feeds?" Or like at least grumbling about it. And it's true. I got to tell you, Katie, the people that I loved always consistently were the actors. Also, consistently, I was often frustrated with filmmakers and not all of them, but a lot of them, and producers and production companies and network executives. And I think that frustration got in my way just because like jobs were far more complicated than they needed to be. And what I should have been focused on was building relationships with people we just vibed really well and then just staying with them over time. So my advice to people is make it about how you can be of service to people and form real relationships over time, real friendships, even if they're professional friendships. And it's not about what can you do for me. It's like, who are you? I'm interested in you. I'm curious about you because I respect you. I love your work. I feel like I can be in the worlds you create. And just having a friendship that feels real over time. And I think it's so important
But what if it's
to
not
do that.
reciprocated? What if you feel that and then the other side isn't reciprocated? Or
Oh, well, then you don't have to be like, if you try to connect with somebody and they're like, fine, fine. It's like dating, right?
and I guess it's the other side too. Like, someone might be really bullish on you and like you have a whole nother thing. So like you're not even attuned to it could be a good relationship just because you're in a whole different place. Like, maybe what's a way to communicate if we're not aligning in a way, but you really want to have that authentic relationship and you're maybe having a vision, like this could be long term, but maybe they don't see it right away. Like,
It
slow.
also makes sense, like, too, like, if you're talking about somebody, for example, who's pretty successful and, like, really busy and stuff like that, and then yeah, and they're not reciprocating because they think, "Oh, you want something from me." I mean, I gotta tell you, like, well, okay, recently, there was a showrunner. Yeah. Basically, recently, I met a showrunner at a dinner, and we were around each other at an event for a weekend, and I got along so well with everyone else. I happened to be reading something that he wrote, and I was so like, "Oh my god, you're amazing," and I learned so much, and I was cavelling over him, and he was just kinda, like, cold. And I thought to myself, a little bit, "Fuck you, because 'cause I'm cool." Also, I never finished the book. Also, I felt like, right, of course, he's a
You didn't
showrunner.
finish the book because of how he was, or you didn't finish.
Yeah, I was annoyed. I was basically like, "Oh, no, I get it. I'm a casting director. I'm middle management, and you think that I want something from you." That was the energy, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? Don't need this. Don't need it. I don't care about working for him." I literally was just like, "You're cool. I love your work. That's it." So, I think that when you get that energy from somebody, what you can do if you really, really, I think, want to, you can, for example, even just to be like slightly fangirly can be cool. So like little things on social media or email over time. And then telling them how your career has advanced. But yeah, no, if someone is just a dick, then they're a dick. And like you don't, it's fine. And if like, yes, if it's like I will work for you one day, stick it out and just do little things that don't feel stalkerish. In this case with this guy, it's like, no, I'm not interested in a job. I'm liking the people at this table. We're not connecting clearly because he has a wall up. Okay. I'm not for everyone and not everyone's not for me, I guess. I know that.
No, I love that. I love that. And then also I know that because I'm very happy go lucky and very forthright with certain things. So if I see something, I'm like, oh my God, your shirt's amazing. Or like, oh my God, your eyes are so beautiful. Like I really mean that. But you might mean it and I might mean it. And those are the authentic people who are just they just are. And but so many people aren't. And so it gets misinterpreted. But it's like we're not the art of dance, the art of communication, but it's better just to authentically show up. But it's like if they have a preconceived notion, because that's we can't like guess of how to approach someone if they're going to be a certain way or not. If that's how they are, it's like I'm not your bad day. You know what I mean? Like I am not your bad day. And long term, you probably don't want to work with someone like that anyway, who thinks they're like too cool for school, or if they're in a different situation, like it just says a lot about their character. I found
Yeah.
over time, the more I ask the question and the more I listen to like your response, the more it becomes clear. But the thing is, there's like, mental well-being is huge, right? Where it's epidemic, like we're going through a crisis. There's not enough therapists, and people are really struggling and hurting, and a lot of it's like these invisible patterns and like the communication and the energy. So I loved how you were saying earlier about building authentic relationships with a vibe. So like if a casting director one, and it's like how do you do that when you're in a room for 5 minutes? Now we're not even in a room for 5 minutes. Like it's on like the Zoom or the YouTube, or they're watching the self tape. You're watching the self tape, and so how can you have that authentic connection? It's like just come in, do your work, and leave. But yeah, I mean, same thing with like so I don't know how it is with casting when everything's on the video, but with coaching, it's like okay, yeah, we meet, we coach. I have a coach that I have for acting. She's so compassionate and gets me and understands and holds space. So it's like that's going to be different for everyone. Like maybe you're going to have space. Yeah, I mean, we can't have space for everyone. I mean, unless you're like a God coach, but like it's a dance. So you probably have like repeat clients, and then you get referral clients, and it's what you put yourself out there in a way, and then people. How is it for you when you're coaching now? Do you is that how it is? Everything that I just mentioned of how you meet new people and gain new clients and repeat clients?
I got to tell you. Okay, so remember, I'm used to being in the room, right? And many, many years in the room, but even in the room, I mean, Katie, like, what are we talking about? Like, if you're lucky, let's say like somebody is in the bathroom or like late, and then maybe you get 15 minutes with an actor. But let's face it, you're usually getting 10 minutes or less, right? In callbacks, for the most part, for any project, I speak when spoken to, because we don't need too many cooks in the kitchen, I've learned. And I just hit record and I do my job, and I'm present and I'm quiet, and the director, who somebody is doing more of the work and giving adjustments. It was different in my early days with, like, these little indies, and I was, like, directing during callbacks, but, like, no, with the more when you're working with, like, real directors that have been doing this for a while, I'm seen and not heard. However, in initial auditions, it was wonderful because I could, sometimes act everything was perfect, we got a great take, whatever. When I got to give adjustments, it was amazing, but I got to be present with the actors. Well, now I get, like, 60 minutes or more in a coaching session. This is like paradise.
Hmm.
Like, we can do it, especially if we're doing this. I mean, if I'm doing a marketing or business strategy thing, that's one thing. We can have a great conversation. I had an amazing one today with this amazing actress who just got a great manager in LA, and we were strategizing around things. She has a huge show about to come out.
Ooh,
But I mean,
amazing.
oh
That's
my God,
great.
it's great. And like, and it's, I think it's also hard for a New Yorker to be like, "Oh, I don't have to control everything, and I have a manager that's really gonna manage me," because that doesn't happen a lot, especially in New York. But then when I'm doing the self-tape coaching, we can do it and do it and do it and get it right. We can, like, it can be the perfect take or two, and it's just like paradise because I'm getting what I've always wanted, but I never could have because of time.
Yeah. And so you're coaching actors only. I see that you cast actually corporate people because a lot of people they'll want to feel comfortable. How is that for you? Coaching outside of actors.
Well, it's interesting because actors, I think to some degree, know their special sauce on some level. They know what it is about them that are their star qualities, what draws people to them, what makes them shine. On some level, they're aware, and I can remind them of who they really are. Also, I mean, Katie, like, we're not dumb. We've got therapists. We, like, go to like, we're different. I say we because I consider myself like one of our
Yeah.
people. With corporate, a lot of, like, therapy is less of a thing. Also, everyone's super careful because HR, and it's just a different world where there's a lot of walls and masks, and there's fear in our business, a ton of it, but there's that. It's a different kind. But what I've noticed is, especially when someone is not confident with doing presentations, for example, at a conference, I love telling them why they were cast to begin with. Someone else could have done that presentation. They were chosen. Why? And I can remind them of who they truly are, what it is about them that draws us to them, and then bring that out in their presentation and get them to relax, be present, and ultimately also, because a lot of presentations, it's like, I'm just giving you a whole bunch of information I'm supposed to tell you. It's thinking about the who are you talking to and why are you telling them this? Especially when you have 500 people sitting there and they've been sitting there all day and they were sitting there all day the day before. What's in it for them? What are the key takeaways that are going to make their lives easier? Because ultimately, we all just want our lives to be easier and make more money. Jesus Christ. And not stress out. Well, somewhere in that presentation are those things. But given the fact that their attention is going to keep going elsewhere. Sex. Did I tell my husband to put the casserole in the oven for dinner because he's, like, 2,000 miles away and the kids need to be fed and I don't trust that he'll do it. Like, they're thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
What can bring them back? So I love working with corporate clients just as much as actors. And
Mm.
and I love the variety. It's stimulating for me.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And then so do when people come to you, it could be for an acting role to book an acting role, a commercial role, or even just for exercising, working out to instead of like being in an acting class, maybe they just have like a coach that they work with on different scenes.
Yes. Um, yeah, I can and do all of this, but I will tell you this, like, and this is not to, like, tell people not to call me. It's not that, but okay. So have you ever studied with Bob Krakauer?
No,
But you know who that is, right?
I know the
Like,
name.
so I don't know if Bob and the people that work for him still recommend doing this. But I remember observing it like in real time and I was like, "Holy shit. Why is everyone not freaking doing this now?" And the great part is everyone can do this shit virtually now.
Yeah.
So, I my casting studio was at Actors Connection in the Film Center building in New York for a million years. And what I would watch for a few years, there was this group. It was like Elizabeth Hauer and a few other people, Hank Chen, and there were 2 other people, I don't remember, 4 people,
Yeah.
and they would tape themselves. They would just drill it every week. If they called themselves the crackheads, and every week for 2 hours, they'd put themselves on tape with just random scenes. Sometimes it was like, stuff they were auditioning for, but this is like before people were self-taping, and they would just go boom, 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 and they would just drill it, give each other feedback, do it again. And I think for him, he's like, "Well, I can't make you do it. I'm not grading you, but I would recommend you get into a group of 4 and you just keep drilling material." Well, why do people not do that now? Even if it's 2 people, people you trust, people that are different than you, the more diverse, that will give you great feedback, like.
Even on the Zoom, because that's where we're really doing it nowadays.
Right, and if I were doing it, if I were facilitating that, I would say, "Come with a self-tape, we're gonna give you feedback, and then we're gonna do a live virtual callback basically in
Yeah.
real time." And, like, and I think the more you do that, the more exciting, or the better your work gets, and that's also building relationships with actors, like, especially if you choose well, that are gonna bring you up with them.
Yeah, and that's the key thing if they're gonna bring you up with them because I've had so many duds building relationships with people, and it's like I've overextended and given so much, like yang, 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 give, because it's from within my heart, but receiving has been very limited, and I'm abundant, and I know that, and I have a lot of God's grace. However, then I had to self reflect like me. It's like if I'm so yang yang, maybe I'm making it difficult to be able to receive and maybe not aware of that there's a block. And because some people have troubles receiving things, you know what I mean? Even if they want it. But so there's that balance. But through coaching and through getting in the groups and being around good people, they can say that in a gentle way. And so things are revealed, so we can learn and grow.
Can I ask you something
Sure.
hopefully it's not too personal?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what you're saying is, I just wanna make sure I understand you because this is fascinating, and I think this applies to so many people, but I have a thought about you. So what you're saying is you would get involved in things like that, like you were collaborating with people and you were thinking, "This is like, we're gonna come up together," like, right? Is that what you were thinking?
All the
Like
time.
like the John Malkovich, Gary Sinise, or like Gene Garofalo, Ben Stiller, like all like I'm create, but you were the giver and you were the doer?
Yeah.
Shit. And the other people were like, "Cool, cool, cool. So you make it happen." But ultimately they didn't have the chops or the like the hustle. You were the hustler?
They
See,
expected me to do it. Like,
it's not
I'm like the talent and the business, and then that's what drew him to me because I would direct, I would do web series, I would do short films, I would cast people in it, and they'd all be along for the ride for getting cast in things, for being think for pr but I would be, like, looking at him like a teammate, like a producer, thinking long term together, but it's like it was always falling short
well,
of.
so it's falling on you,
Yeah.
right?
Well, me feeling alone a lot, like independent all by myself, like not having a team player to do things with. Yeah.
So it's
Girls, females, and males. And I've tried a lot, you know, especially in LA. That's where I mostly did it. And that's why traveled outside of LA just to explore new things. That's why I actually took some time off screen in 2012. I thought I needed to spiritually grow more and go on this journey to like make me a better actor, just to make me more compassionate as a human being. And then a decade later, I didn't know I was going to be gone for so long. I've been doing voiceovers. I still been acting off screen, but on screen, I took some time off. I didn't know it was going to be 10 years. I didn't know it was going to be a decade, but I'm back on the map now, which is great. But it takes that, first thing to get back on the map. And okay, I'm back on the map now. But this time around, I'm not trying to do things as team players with people. It's so exhausting. And like, I'm not 15 anymore, so it's like I'm just trusting my team to be those people as my team players now, having an agent, having a manager, having coaches, people who really believe in me. So I'm that person that I wanted to be with other people, so I'm just, I guess, like, the way I look at it is like, and what I had to do is I had to sit down during the pandemic, and it was like, okay, the train goes out, the train goes out the station, but it's not coming back in. So that's why, season 5 of my podcast, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And that's when, like, I, reached out for you to come on the show. I'm like, okay, it's going to be reciprocated. It's like I'm putting things out, but I'm going to feel it's reciprocated coming back in. So how can I align my show? Like, I have neuroscientists on and doctors on and multi-billionaires on. Okay, great. And they're like one-offs. That I don't want to do one-offs. I want to sow seeds, and I want to, like, grow with people and have, like, healthy relationships. I grew up as a cross-country runner, so short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, like strategizing, coaching. But what I do as an individual affects the whole, like a team sport. You get an individual sport and a team sport. So it's like moving. When I pivoted through my podcast, I'm like, I want to have people on, like directors, producers, financiers, like casting directors. So then it's like, it's exciting for me because I'm learning and growing, but then my listener tuning in, it's exciting for them as well. But then, like, I have this, like, in-depth conversation because that's what means everything to me, instead of just being superficial, like really getting to the crux of, like, for you, Brett, like, what is it for you? Like, how do we hold space and honor space for you so you can be the best version, and you're being the ripple effect by tuning into the listener, but I'm the vessel. So, I mean, I'm doing it selfishly with self-love because I receive it, and if I'm receiving it, then it means there's other people in Iowa or in small towns in Ohio, one person listening, and I was that girl, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I remember to hold that space because I was once there, and I said I would always be the person, the producer, to hold hands and create. I remember when I'm going on here, but I remember when I was little, I'm like, if a famous person just found me and, like, made me, like, their thing, like how, like, Usher did, how that manager did for Justin Bieber, if there was more of those, I think it'd be more balanced in life, of, like, excitingness for the kids, for the youth, to normalize fame. So there wouldn't be such a rise of fame and the unhealthy habits, and then the people who feel unseen and heard, and who commit suicide because of social media and all the external stimulants that they're seeing. I mean, lastly, that's why I love podcasting. That's why I love audiobooks. Like, education should be free, and these kind of tools, it's all about where you're tuning to. Where are you attuning to? You have to make sure the train's going out, but then it's also coming back in, so, and yeah.
So this is what I think, and tell me what you think about this. It's interesting because you're bi-coastal, right? And it's funny what you said to me before we started this recording about how a lot of people in California saw you as more of a New Yorker,
Yeah.
right? That happened. I don't see you as much. I think it's because I'm so New York. One of the things that I love about you and that I'm so drawn to is actually it's very California. It's the part of you that doesn't have any shame or mishigas around talking about what is spiritual.
Mm.
It's your leadership and to me as a New Yorker, your strength and bravery in that world. You also talk about holding space, right? Katie, I see you as a creative, joyful, abundant talent that is supposed to live up here and hold space here. And that there's other people that are going to do this. And I think that in a way, and sorry if I'm overstepping here, the fact that you are like an athlete
Yeah.
and the fact that you can do shit, like you're a woman that can be impatient and make shit happen. But it's almost like it's hard to do two things at once because then you end up doing all the things and burning out. And my dream for you is that you get to just resonate in that beautiful, ethereal, creative space. And that people that are going to like get in there and do the work are drawn to you, but you're above and you're holding space for them and holding space for a group. Because to do both doesn't feel right to me. It's too many things. And so if you get involved in too much train going out, you burn out and maybe your body hurts too from that, right? I don't know. What do you think?
You're on par with everything. It makes me think of something I'm going to share with in a minute with you, but I love this. So it's like, like you said, like your superpower is seeing like people's higher lights to bring it out in them, and what you're saying like makes sense, and what you said is exactly what I want to do. I am a light energy being. Like I have
Mhm.
in-depth conversations, but I'm like this ethereal being here. And it's so
Right.
difficult because I'm making the choice to go down here.
Right, and it's the
And
going
I
down
can
that keeps you
stay
out of
here.
the up.
Yeah, and so I am gonna say it now. So wow, you're gonna love her. Do you know Caroline Myss, MYSS?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mystic Intuitive from Chicago. So she talks about like being in the penthouse with the caviar and the view of Central Park, and like, having butlers waiting on you. And then the same building, the bottom floor, you hear the trash, you hear the sirens, you see the rats, it's smelly. Same building, but are you up here or down here? It's all about perspective. But she says something like the boat too, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it's like, I didn't realize until what you just said I'm doing just that. I'm here and I'm supposed to stay here, and I need to measure. And as a coach, you're saying, and I'm very aware because I catch on quick, I need to be mindful of when I'm coming down, not to, and ask myself, why am I doing it? For who? Who are these people? And to remove them immediately from my psychology and my physical environment, because they are the ones I'm allowing to bring me down here, and I am supposed to stay here.
Oh god.
And I know that's my power, and I feel all that, and I can hear it in my
Oh,
soul.
to bring spirit and creativity and light, Katie, that's what you do, and you do it from an upper level. The minute if you start, I mean, you're younger than I am, but the more you live down here and you're like, "Fuck it, nobody can do what I can do, and everyone is slow, and fuck it, I'll just do it myself," your body's gonna start to break down, and I feel protective of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's
No,
good.
you live up here and you can hold space for people. You I gotta tell you,
Yeah, I don't
Katie,
have to go down with other people.
no, there's also people who are like, "Hey, look, no, I'm gonna make shit happen. I'm a to-do list person. Let me do this left brain shit so that you can stay in your right brain, creative, spiritual, light, twinkly, twinkly, sparkly space that you live in. And your voice is that too. It's who you are. It's what you look like. You're beautiful. Like it's all there. So it's really exciting. And then the more you stay up there with integrity, I think that people will be drawn to you. So it's you receiving and bringing people in and having that beautiful, sparkly goddess energy that you have. It's very like, it's lovely.
Oh my
Um,
god, thank you.
yeah, no, you're welcome. It's cool, and but the fact that you can also speak like real truth and industry speak, like you're
Ye
not like, like you're not like, oh, I'm out there in left field and flaky. Am I like you get what the industry is? But I think that you can like what you did with me, like you and I were like, blah, 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 and we were dealing with technical issues. And you two times were like, we're just gonna breathe.
yeah.
We're just gonna breathe. Your intuition is very, very good. I want you to stay up here.
Yeah, me too. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, 1000. I love that. Thank you. I really feel that. Like I feel it in my brain actually.
Oh yeah. And
I
like I
feel
want
like
like your
some pressure off of my brain. I feel like there's some pressure off of my brain now.
thank God.
I really feel that. And it's just and it's also about surrounding myself with people like you who
People that protect you.
Y
Yeah, too.
that's what you just said, because I know it, but then people are vultures, and you go out there and, like, if you don't have a protective nest, and that protective nest can be your parents, that protective nest can be, like, a partner, but that protective nest could also be holding you back, and then if you don't have a protective nest, then you're like a Marilyn Monroe exposed to, like, alcohol and prescription pills and men who wanna sleep with you who are married, men who wanna sleep with you that have girlfriends, just men who wanna sleep with you, like, everyone. And you're just like so
Yeah,
available, but they just want to use you up and suck you and take all of your energy. And
that's right.
everyone who meets me Not to make this all about me, but everyone who meets me, they're always like, your energy, your energy, your energy, or oh, I can't wait to see your energy again. I miss your energy, or like your energy. Like it's all I hear all the time. And so I know it. But then it's like it gets confusing. But when you have someone who's like a good person who reminds you of your light, and you know, because you have like the faith and you go through your journey, but you go through your journey and every moment changes, every season changes, and we're around different people. So, when you come across what you just said, it's just really impeccable and important to honor those relationships and those kind of people that were, I like that, protecting. I like that.
I just see like this circle of people that are like that get you and that are also that are strong and say, let's let her be so that there's space up there for you to like get your downloads from above about like the next step creatively or what you can make or like what you can bring to this world like that and how you can be of service because you so are. Like I just want you like encircled with people, not just parents, like people in the industry that are like, keep doing this and like we've got you and yeah, don't go down to that basement. Fuck that. There's a lot of people, and it's not about like people being dicks. It's about like who's gonna do all of the work so that you're not being drained and like having that team around you so that you can stay up here. It's exciting. I like it. You're bringing like industry knowledge with the spiritual together, and I think and I think you also get like what's saleable and commercial and all those things. I think you get it.
Couple things. I think that's why now I'm doing the live, because I'm ready to step into that power and be seen where before I was hiding. But it's just encouraging, like my voice does matter, and we all hear like your voice matters. But the way I tell stories, and like, my new therapist, you were mentioning therapist, my new therapist, she's like, oh, you're so interesting. And it's like, like, oh, your stories. And it's like to share those stories. But the other thing I was thinking is, at the beginning, and I say why I do what I do and have the podcast, I hold space for people. And you mentioned like holding space, how I mentioned that, before we started. Maybe I hold so much space for people because I want people to hold space for me.
Oh, yeah. And you
Right?
deserve that. You deserve that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you just said it, like people who can hold space for you so you can do what you got to do, what you want to do, what your gift is to do. And it's like, oh, and it makes sense that it really comes. I mean, this has been a coaching session. I can't believe we're recording this live. This is a real coaching session over here.
I mean, I see it. It's like I have this, and I'm not a very visual person, but I see this image, right? Of like you're kind of like floating here. This is so funny. Like I would never, I feel like I don't know. I've changed since I moved to California, but
Ha!
there's like you're kind of here, right? Almost like an angel. And then there's all these people who are kind of like floating a little bit down, and we're just all just standing there. We're like, do your thing, girl. We love you. Do your fucking thing. And then you are able here to bring people into that space in the circle. There's other people that you choose. You do the casting, and then you can create together and collaborate. But you're holding space for the people inside, and you love us, but we're like right here, right on the outside, just being like, this is the protection. And that way, all the shit from the outside, like especially some LA bullshit, right? I love LA, but fuck, you know what I'm talking about. All that stuff, just like, nope, we'll just keep it out. We'll just keep it out. It kind of like it leans over a little bit, but then it's like, nope, go away, go away. And you can have that focus and that space to do what you find interesting and
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah, I like that. More leadership ability, more just going within and sticking to your instincts and do what you want to do. Cause like, for example, what you're saying for me is like, I spent so much time in LA, and my synapses fire and wire when I'm there. Like it might be exciting, but after like 2 days, I'm like, oh, this is dull, because I know what I know that I know that I already know. And it's like, I already did this for over a decade. And there's just so much of God's grace in the beautiful world to see. But I don't think I could ever live in LA again because of all what you just said, because I would also sincerely be attached to all those things, like prior to me too. Like I left like right before then. I'm so sensitive to energy, and I felt like all that stuff happening, and I left, and then all that stuff happened. It's like that was always grimy in the air. Like it was always like there. But like going somewhere like Palm Springs or Ojai or like even like, I don't know, Manhattan Beach or something, like still being in Cali, but not in the LA muck, of the whole thing. That could be a possibility, and that could be something to think about. Everything doesn't have to be so extreme in black and white. Like there's layers to this, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, God, Katie, isn't it interesting? Because I'm like you in this way of like picking, like feeling the energy of a city or a town or like what, and even if you're in your house, even if you're sitting by a pool or whatever, you feel like what's in the air.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like during the strike, even in Palm Springs, even in my condo by myself or whatever, I felt the heavy. I felt it. And so it's so important that like we protect our own energy there so that we can do what we do best and have the strength and energy and buoyancy, I feel like is the word to do it. Cause yeah, when you're not in the right, and I like what you've done. If you're cool with me saying this, like hopefully you move around a bit so that you don't get, I think, and it's good for the industry. Like it's good to know that you're like legit bi-coastal or whatever, but you know how to find that balance even by moving around with your physical body. I love that.
Since you brought it up, it's so important because I find when you're in one, like when you go somewhere, you're like, wow, Paris, or you go somewhere, you're like, wow, like you're so excited. But if you stay, that it's like the honeymoon phase ends, and then you're around someone, you're like, that's kind of annoying. And then you start nitpicking, and then you get into the grains of like other things that you don't mean, and you lose the appreciation of, again, God's grace, or you lose the appreciation of the person that you love so much or you enjoy being around. So it's like she's all over the place. It's like, yeah, but it's like topical. Like I get to enjoy people, like the cherry on top and the icing, and I get to like have some of the cake. And it's like I get to enjoy this thing, and we have in-depth conversations. They're meaningful when we're connected. But then I like to go and like, like you can miss someone, or you're like yearning to see, and like it's like simmering, like on a stove. You have to like let something simmer. So it's like we sow seeds, you go away, you nurture it, you're nurturing it, and then you come back, and then you rake away the duds, and then you see what's blossoming, and then you sow some new seeds with some new soil. And that's like the rotation of life. And I feel like with short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, with strategies, and I personally coaches my whole life. My dad was my number one coach because he ran cross country, so he turned me on to cross country. And I always had coaches, like cross country athletic coaches. And then when I got into the industry, I learned about, acting coaches and workshops and classes. So then, I started having those coaches. So and then mentors, like I had mentors in Michigan. And then I went to Hollywood and I outgrew my mentors. And then I sowed
Mm.
new seeds with new mentors. And it was so ironic because I never thought I would be in the big ocean and grow out of those mentors. And then I got to a point in my life where I was around these like multi-billionaires and these multi-millionaires. And it's like, I grew out of those coaches. And it's like, who do you go to when you're dream and you're a little girl and you think money is a blanket for success? And then you realize the juxtaposition, how money doesn't equate to value and integrous ways of being as a human. And then, you start having different values on people and a reflection of oneself. So what kind of mentors am I seeking? And I'm like, on the prowl for mentors. And like, I have this one right now. His name's Dr. Marcus Collins. He's going to be on the podcast. He's a guru in marketing. Won't like tell you all the details. I'll send you, but he's a professor at the college at U of M, and he's remarkable. And I tell him, it's like, you're amazing, and I've been searching for a coach for so long. And sometimes you just need one mentor or one coach. Like you don't need like 10 or 15, but you start with one, and when it is the one, you grow there. And coaches don't have to be forever. I mean, they could be, but also coaches like Gary Vaynerchuk, I love him. He's like, a lot of coaches out there, they'll keep you right under being excellent because they want that paycheck. They want to keep you coming back. But the greatest coaches will have plentiful clients and word of mouth that they'll get you to what you said, like the highest point or to the light, and make them the best that they can be because they want you to really soar. They're not thinking about like their paycheck or like keeping you down here. And there's so many coaches that do that. So knowing the difference from coaches who want to see you sort of those next levels in abundance, and then having coaches who like keep you here, right? There's those kind of coaches as well.
Oh yeah, I don't run after people. Like it's interesting. So like once I like scrolled through because I have like folders right with like people's sides or emails or whatever, and I have their names on them in my Gmail. Like I'll scroll through and be like, wow, because I would rather have people come to me, get whatever they need, and then go flourish. And then and especially with the self tapes, it's like I want this to be perfect. It was like the same thing when I was a casting director, and we're gonna freaking get it there. That's it. Like holding people back so that I don't know, even with like, I gotta tell you, like, 'cause I'm like shitty at business anyway, fuck. But like, I'm shitty at business. But like, if somebody gets 3 sessions, there is not one part of me, and again, it's also me being shitty at business, that's like, okay, so what are we working on for the next round? Like, I don't even think about it. I'm just like, well, if they want to continue working with me, then they will. So I guess that's like great in some way, not what a business person would advise, but yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's I think it's bad to keep people on the hook because then you become. That's why I really don't like a lot of acting teachers. I don't like somebody that puts themselves in a place of guru or cult leader and then
Right,
breaks people down and then builds them up and
right.
then makes them feel like they have to. It's like an addiction. I don't like any of that shit. I mean,
Sounds
so
narcissistic. If you build someone up and bring them down, that's narcissism.
but it's also so many acting teachers. It's like I'm going to make you cry and like spill your guts about
Because they
everything
can.
and yeah, right. And
Because
it's
they
like
can.
it's just it and then somehow I have you, it just feels so gross. And when I don't, who I haven't heard that about, and this is like the only teacher I recommend is like Seth Barish. Like people don't say that shit about him.
Word. Never heard of him before.
The Barrow Group, you've heard of that, right?
No.
It's New York. He's great. And I read his book and I'm like, yeah, right. You're just like working with people in a professional way. Oh, big, like fucking great. That's exactly what you should be doing. Not making somebody roll around on the floor, spilling their secrets and crying hysterically and then treating you like a guru and ugh. Ugh.
Do you know Susan Batson? I studied with her, Susan Batson.
Uh-huh.
Susan Batson Studio. That's where I studied. Yeah. Nicole Kidman's personal acting coach. Nicole Kidman's never had an acting class. Juliette Binoche's acting coach. Zac Efron was there when I was there. Liv Tyler. She would have industry nights where we would do industry nights where agents came. I actually set her up. I was with Headline Talent at the time, and I sent Headline Talent to Susan Batson, and then they came and did an industry night. I produced that. I'm a little producer over here. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've done a few over there. They would
Oh,
they would
really?
buy sushi for me. It was very nice. And then I would see people and she would talk and I would talk and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Barrow Group. I'll check them out.
Yeah, it's a different energy. It's a different energy. And yeah, I don't know. But I'm with you on that. I feel like coaches should just be there to support somebody when they really need it and then like you've done a great job of like okay, I've learned what I need to learn and then I move on. How did you when you say U of M, do you mean Michigan?
Yeah, U of M. Dr. Marcus Collins.
How did you find him?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Like it's so wild because I'm from Michigan, he's from Michigan, and he's at the Business School of Ross. He's the marketing professor. He's a contributor for Forbes for marketing. He wrote For the Culture. Like everything in my brain about marketing, like I knew him before his book came out in May, and I just watched his rollout strategy. And like LVMH found him. He's like a speaker at all these places. They fly him everywhere to speak. He did Beyonce's strategy for her last tour. He did her strategy. When
Wow.
McDonald's went in the dump, he did their strategy and like 3 months later they were booming again. He was in charge of doing like all those partnerships with like Cardi B and Offset and Travis Scott, and like finding out the people for the culture, like what the people wanted. So he found me, and then we started like connecting at a huge ad agency. He was the CMO, the chief marketing officer, but then he had to stop working there because his book took off. I mean, his book is flying. It's taken off so nicely now. But he was no, it's the company. It starts with a Y. They have the oldest clients of Ford, Nike. Yeah, but he found me, and then so we'd meet up when he would come to New York. We meet up when we go to Michigan. He does segments at CBS in Detroit local news. So it was the strike, and he's like, "Yo, do you want to be on CBS?" Like he invites me to go be on like the news, and I'm when I go to Michigan, we're gonna see each other, and he's gonna be on the podcast. But oh yeah, my dad's met him. Like you know what I mean? Like he's married, has 2 kids. Like he's so great. And but I talk to him about things, and he's just I can tell him like things, and he gets it, and it's like he's just like a man of God, and like I can just he's a trusted good person. Like he was doing music when he first started, and like Motown. So we both have a love for music. We're both from Detroit. So it's like just keeping it real. So you have those like you said earlier, like these authentic relationships. How do you chime into those authentic moments knowing there's a connection there, right?
Mm.
Like those are the sentiments I think to know. Okay, you're both from the same place. You both like chocolate, like ice cream, or you both like dream of going to Bali. Like those things are aligned visions and missions where we can laugh and talk about it, watch movies about it, talk for hours about it. You know what I mean? Like I do cross country, but I'm not going to want to like sit down and watch football with anybody. Like my yaya, she's 94. She loves wrestling. So like I'll watch wrestling with her. Otherwise, I'm not watching wrestling. I know it's a weird thing, Greek watching Monday Night Wrestling, but I think just those and then you can laugh about our differences too. We don't have to like the exact same things, but we can laugh about it together.
That is so true. And what I'm also hearing from you is like, this is okay. First, this speaks, Katie, to your level, and it makes sense because you also do this, right? You interview people. You have an innate appreciation, respect, and deep curiosity about people and their stories. And yes, you're clocking and collaborating with their shared interests and things that both light you up, and also things that you have in common, even culturally, like the Detroit thing. That's what I mean too. It's that thing of let it happen organically and don't force it. Treat it like a friendship, or again, like somebody you're dating, in the sense of if it doesn't feel like you're on the same wavelength, that's not your person. And it's okay. You wouldn't think about that if it was just friends at a party. You wouldn't give a shit. You'd be like, oh, cool, they're cool, but whatever. Like, I'm moving on. But with the industry, there gets this like, yeah, and like you want something so bad. And it's like, just stay open, because that the way you describe your connection with him, Dr. Collins, right?
Dr. Marcus Collins, yeah.
Marcus Collins. It is like that's the thing where you can learn from him, but you can both relax, and that you're absolutely curious about him. And it's not
Right.
all about take. Like he's giving, like you're receiving a lot just from hearing him talk. And I'm sure he's even getting a lot even from telling you stories, and then giving you advice based on his life experience, which sounds amazing. I'm very excited for you.
Oh, thank you. And I'll send you his book if you like to read, or you can listen to the audio. You let me know. But the audio is free on Libby. But if you want his book, I'll send it to you as a gift. I'll probably just have him sign one for you. But when I see him, I can make that happen. But yeah, it's a great, great book. But it's funny because when my mom and dad dropped me off in Ann Arbor, because he and I met up for lunch, and my mom and dad drove me there in between, his school. He's just like, who are you? Like, I just want to know your whole story. Like, I'm so fascinated by you. Like, how does a girl from Michigan do everything that you've done, and you do voiceovers? Like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? Because like he was working at the ad agencies where they cast the voiceover. It's like a unique.
Right.
Like, how do you get into voice? Like, who are you? So like what you just said is like the curiosity and exciting for me to have a trusted source of a mentor. It's two ways where he's really interested in me, invested in like getting to know, like, who are you? Like, how did you design your life? So it has to be a two-way street, like the train going out and coming back. It can't be one way, and feeling spiritually deprived. we need to spiritually fulfill our own cups as well.
He sounds like he's part of that circle, right? That part of those people that are just doing this, and they're there with you, and you can talk to them when you want to hear from them, but they're like standing here, just like there's just a presence protecting you. He's in that circle, and that's great. You're built. I mean, you might have already built it, but you're like you're. It sounds like you're in the process of like we're all just here. It's great. That's really exciting. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's the authenticity in health and in God's grace of knowing, like, know thyself, right? Know thyself, and being authentic in that way. So I think to develop those kind of relationships that we yearn for, we need to really, like, test certain waters or go for what we want, and don't be. There's this quote I had, this he's amazing, Dr. John Janquish. He's a scientist. He's written papers that NASA's published, like, when he was on the podcast. And he was saying Winston Churchill's one of his favorite, and I'm going to botch the quote, but it was something like, if you stop at every barking dog, like, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And I
Mhm.
feel like in life, when you're going to where we're growing to, we know our mission, but we need to have trusted support, friends, coaches, mentors along the way to remind us, because there could be so many barking dogs along the way, and it's a long journey. And then we might forget to remember how great we are, and we hear from everyone and they don't know what to do with us, or like, oh, this or this or your energy. But then we're a bit confused, like they are, because they're confused and we've kind of lost our way. And so
Mm.
coaches are supposed to help us physically, mentally, spiritually, in our careers, with presentations, with acting. So I think, yeah, it's really important, who you are and what you're doing, with your life, the design of your life, and the choices you're making to support others.
Agreed, and, like, and anyone that you're collaborating with, in this case of Dr. Collins, like, the with all of these relationships, it's like they're gonna be people, and I felt that way when I was sitting at that table with that showrunner. They're gonna be people that are like, "I see you," like, and you feel seen by them, and they get you, and they're curious about you, and then there's other people that, like, do this. Fuck them. Like, they're on their own journey, and not everyone is for everyone. So, like, but there are so many people, right? I think sometimes we take it for granted that, like, see us and light up when they're around us because they see and are invested in ultimately our light.
Yeah.
And, and then it's like, and it's really just letting go of the ones that don't. They
Yeah,
got
and I
their own
like
stuff to work out.
I love the ethic card you say, but also when you're saying the ethic card, it's also, when you're saying the ethic card, you're saying thank you, because then you're getting out of my way so I can align with the people who are supposed to be connected with me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Tony Robbins slider quote, basically. Did you see Guru on Netflix?
Wait, did I see it?
It was
No,
with
I think
Tony
I did
Robbins.
see it. Right, and he was jumping on his trampoline. I think I did see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, something that was so pivotal when I was watching it that I'll never forget is his mom beat him, like, beat the living crap out of him, beat him.
Yeah,
And he was like, F you, F you, F you, F you. And then he learned to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, because it showed me what I never want. And it grew him to the man he is today. And he would have never been who he is today if it wasn't for his mom doing what he did. And he's the number one coach in the world, like,
that's
out of
right.
all time. I
That's
mean, it's
right.
magnificent who he is and what he's done and how much he gives to people. So, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, we've thank you so much for your time. And I would love to have you back on the show. We can just, like, collaborate, and anytime you're available, would love to have you back on the show. That would really mean a lot to me.
Thank you, thank you. I'd love to be back on the show. Yeah, and I would love to, like I don't know if you ever have more than one guest at a time, but I would love to, like hear something, like, what, because you seem to be very good at casting with this too. Like, I would love to hear, like, someone like that from a totally different industry or from a different perspective. Like, I have to tell you, I have a weird relationship with agency people from casting all these commercials.
Tell
They're
me,
well,
like, what do you mean?
they're you don't see them. The production company and the producer they're the ones that are communicating with them, right? But then you get them at callbacks, whether it's Zoom or in person, right?
The ad
And
agencies?
yeah. And, like, sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it's like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me right now?" And so, I mean, also, I've seen some agency people do some crazy, messed up stuff in callbacks or say terrible things.
That's why they keep them hidden because they don't know what they're doing.
Well, but they don't keep them hidden in casting sessions, like, they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, I get a day, I'm gonna do this. This'll be cool." And then, I mean, it's different. Things have changed over time, people are better, but sometimes the energy is just weird, it's just off, and to know that, like, you found this person who comes from that world, but he's actually awesome,
wait till you
and
read the book. I mean, he tells so many stories. And I guess I don't mean to say they don't know what they're doing. Maybe they don't know how to communicate with the actors. That's what I mean.
oh,
So they keep
for
away from the
sure.
actors because they don't know how to communicate with us. However, I've been on set and there's been they're on set and they're always kept away from us. They're always on these like black sofas. They're always on set. I've been cast in numerous of commercials where I'm standing there trying on so many outfits and there's 15 voices saying, and I'm there for 4 or 5 hours because they can't decide what I'm gonna wear. And it's like
Right!
there's too many cooks in the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yes, and everyone is justifying their paycheck. So it's funny. That's interesting, Katie. You see it from a totally different perspective because they're around. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm
But,
talent,
like,
but I'm also a producer, so I look at things full circle. Like I observe the whole. I zoom out and observe everything, not judging, but I just observe everything that's going on, and I'm sensitive to energy, so I can pick it up.
yep, yep. And I don't know. Like, for me, I'm so protective of the actors that I'm like, I feel like I'm right here. I'm like ready to pounce. Like, please don't say anything. Please be cool. Please don't hurt anybody's feelings, and like I can't control that because ultimately, like, I'm down here and they're up here. And yeah, so I have it's been it's been it's been a weird, I don't know. It's like I couldn't even watch Mad Men. I was like, I don't even wanna see it. I don't know. There's like a little bit of PTSD. So it really helps me, like, hearing you tell stories about Marcus Collins because it's like, I know there's great people in there. I haven't met enough of them and I wanna meet more.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Do you like audio or do you like books?
Book. I have like 14 books and I'm like I'm a very avid reader. So I
Well,
like.
not now, but off screen. Send me your address, and I'm gonna have him sign a book for you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
Thank
send it
you.
to you.
Be like, "I'm one of the good guys, trust me." Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm so excited for him to be on this season, and when it goes live, I'll your episode is gonna go live around the same month as him actually. So but I'll send you his episode too, so you can hear what he has to say.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm gonna send you his social media so you can like follow him and see everything he talks about. He's next level. You're gonna love him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just leave a comment, be like, Chinaka sent me here, and then he'll probably follow you back.
That's
He just texted
awesome.
me before I jumped on with you, and I told him I was coming on with you.
Oh, cool, that's great, he sounds great.
Yeah.
And you're great, you're great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yay.
Yay.
Vox is great. Shout out to Vox. I love Vox.
Woo, we love
Shout
Vox.
out. And then shout out to our Rad NFT TV because this episode will be streaming on Rad when they have over 4.5 million subscribers, and they have a deal with Sony and PlayStation. So this will live evergreen over there. So I'm grateful for my Rad fam, my connection and partnership with them. Also for the person tuning in, because of you, we're in the top 2% out of all known podcasts, streaming in over 100 countries. You want to make sure you share this episode with at least one person or two. Hopefully you're taking notes. And yeah, I'm an indie podcaster, so definitely leave a 5-star review. Any last words of wisdom or anything you want to share before we roll out?
I think that, okay, what I've learned over time and even in just the books that I've read is that if you, like, believe in yourself, who you are, and bring your voice to everything, bring your vision to everything. Because if you stay on track with that, believing that you are enough and your voice is spectacular, you will get what you want. It's all the self-doubt and it's all the other voices telling you should be something different. I mean, sure, if people like help to guide you put you back on track, great. But stay on that track of like creating the life and the art that you want. Stay on it, because all the people I think that really succeed, they're doing their thing, and they're pushing aside the people that tell them they can't, or they should be doing it differently, or that there's a right way. Fuck them. Like, surround yourself with people that believe in you and see you.
That's a whole nother podcast episode. Let's do it again. And I'm gonna go rewind that, but that's a whole episode. We can tell so many stories about that. That's so important because it comes up all the time, and ever since I was a kid, it comes up, and like I'm wondering, does it ever stop? But no, it's like it never stops. People are always nitpicking. Like it's always there. It's a part of it. So we're gonna have a whole conversation on that. I'm inviting you if you would like to have that conversation. That would be wonderful.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Brette Goldstein. She's amazing. Everything will be in the show notes below. Make sure you give her a follow, stay connected, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.